In the early hours of a winter morning in February 1502, a sound echoed through the stone corridors of the Este Castle in Ferrara that made courtiers fall silent and guards avert their eyes. It was not a cry of fear or pain, but a signal that something momentous was taking place behind closed doors. Everyone present understood that this was no ordinary private moment. It marked the execution of a political ritual so sensitive that its details would be sealed away for centuries. As Ferrara slept beneath a crimson-tinged moon, an event unfolded that would quietly reshape the balance of power across Renaissance Italy. What occurred that night was not about romance. It was strategy. In an age when marriages between ruling houses functioned like treaties, the marriage chamber itself became a stage where alliances were tested, validated, and secured. For the ruling families of Italy, legitimacy was everything. A marriage that failed to meet expectations could invite annulment, political collapse, or even violence. This was the world Lucrezia Borgia was born into, and by the age of 22, she had already learned how unforgiving it could be. Italy at the turn of the 16th century was fractured into rival powers, each held together by fragile agreements forged through bloodlines. Lucrezia was not simply a bride. She was a diplomatic instrument in a system where lineage, reputation, and perception determined survival. Her father, Pope Alexander VI, had built influence through calculated marriages, turning family bonds into tools of statecraft. The union between Lucrezia and Alfonso d'Este of Ferrara represented one of the most critical alliances of the era. Negotiations made clear that this marriage was transactional to its core. Lucrezia's dowry was vast, but money alone could not secure the future of a dynasty. What mattered more was proof. Proof of unity, proof of legitimacy, proof that this alliance could not be undone. In aristocratic Europe, consummation was not merely symbolic. It was treated as confirmation, and in the most sensitive unions, it was quietly observed and documented to protect against future disputes. The date chosen for the marriage carried deep symbolism. It coincided with a major religious feast, blending sacred meaning with dynastic ritual. Faith and power were intertwined, reinforcing the idea that this union was sanctioned both politically and spiritually. Nothing was accidental. Every detail was planned to reinforce legitimacy. Lucrezia arrived in Ferrara carrying both admiration and suspicion. Her earlier marriages had ended in scandal and tragedy, circumstances that were widely discussed across Italy. Yet those experiences had sharpened her understanding of power. She knew that survival required more than obedience. It required awareness, intelligence, and control over how one was perceived. Alfonso, by contrast, was known for strength, discipline, and technical skill. He was not a decorative prince, but a ruler forged through responsibility. Their meeting before the wedding revealed an unexpected compatibility, adding complexity to what had been intended as a purely strategic union. As the city celebrated with public ceremonies, preparations continued behind palace walls. Officials loyal to rival factions positioned themselves carefully, seeking information that could later be used as leverage. Even the most private spaces were not free from political observation. In this world, intimacy and governance were inseparable. Within the ducal chambers, the atmosphere reflected the gravity of the moment. The room itself symbolized authority and continuity, adorned with imagery of warfare, conquest, and alliance. The marriage ritual that followed was conducted with an awareness that its outcome would echo far beyond Ferrara. For both Lucrezia and Alfonso, this was a test under extraordinary pressure. The successful completion of the ritual provided exactly what both families needed. It established legitimacy, silenced rivals, and secured the alliance in a way that could not easily be challenged. Official records created that night became legal safeguards, protecting the marriage from annulment and political sabotage. What might seem invasive by modern standards was, at the time, considered a necessary defense in a ruthless system. With dawn came transformation. Lucrezia was no longer a controversial outsider. She became central to the stability of the Este dynasty. Her position shifted from vulnerability to indispensability. Alfonso, too, emerged strengthened, his authority affirmed not only through inheritance but through proven resolve. Yet success bred rivalry. Within the court, Tensions sharpened as existing power dynamics shifted. Subtle competition replaced open hostility, shaping court life through influence, patronage, and quiet maneuvering. Ferrara became a theater of calculated appearances, where every gesture carried meaning. The alliance also altered Italy's broader political landscape. Other powers were forced to acknowledge the strength of the Este Borgia bond. Diplomatic strategies adjusted accordingly, and the marriage became a reference point for how political unions could be secured against interference. Lucrezia's later life would continue to reflect this evolution. She endured loss, illness, and relentless scrutiny, yet each challenge refined her understanding of survival within elite power structures. Over time, she demonstrated remarkable adaptability, balancing personal relationships with political necessity. Her story is not one of innocence, but of agency exercised within severe constraints. What remains most striking is how this single night exposed a larger system. Renaissance politics did not end in council chambers. It extended into private spaces, where legitimacy was established through ritualized intimacy and carefully preserved documentation. The bedroom became an extension of the battlefield, and personal lives were inseparable from statecraft. Lucrezia Borgia's transformation reflects a broader truth about her era. Women in elite positions were rarely passive figures. They navigated dangerous systems using the tools available to them, reshaping power from within structures designed to limit them. Her legacy challenges the simplified myths of Renaissance romance, revealing instead a world governed by calculation, surveillance, and resilience. The archives of Europe still hold countless stories like hers, hidden because they complicate comfortable narratives. Behind the art, philosophy, and splendor of the Renaissance lay systems that demanded sacrifice and precision. Understanding them does not diminish history's achievements. It deepens them,